What up, Great Nation? Gabe the Great back here again for another video. Hey, if it's your first time stopping by the channel, then we talk everything basketball related. We talk about the NBA, the WNBA, the NCAA, Youth League, Euro League, and everything in between. So if you like talking about basketball, be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join in the conversation. But let's get started. The NCAA is back at it again. Now, I'm sure by now you all heard of this new rule that LeBron James has quickly called the Rich Paul rule. Now, you gotta understand something about the Rich Paul rule. The Rich Paul rule is really an amendment to a rule that the NCAA made last year. Last year, the NCAA said that if a player declares for the draft, they could talk to an agent but still retain their NCAA eligibility rights. And so at first, it seemed like a really good move for players by the NCAA. It seemed like for the first time since the NCAA started that they were finally doing something for the players and not for themselves. But no. We know the NCAA too well here on this channel. Now, a year after that rule, they've now amended that rule to now define what kind of agent you can actually talk to. And there's a few requirements that that agent must have. Number one is a bachelor's degree. Number two, they have to work with the NBA PA for at least 3 years. And number three, they have to take an in-person exam at the NCAA headquarters in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, we know what the NCAA wants us to think. The NCAA wants us to think that this is just a move that protects players. By making sure that players are only talking to qualified people, that it perhaps limits athletes being taken advantage of. See, part of the NCAA's facade is they always have to give the appearance that they are the righteous savior of the players, that they're trying to protect the players from this big bad world, from the big bad universities that want to take advantage of them, and from the sports agents and financial advisors and all the bad people of the world that wants to take advantage of them while all the time exploiting their free labor. Now, I don't think there's a channel on YouTube that has talked more about the NCAA than myself. We've done a whole 6-part series about the history of the NCAA, how they got their power, and why for certain college athletes should be paid. And for most people, they kind of see the jig is up. People kind of see the NCAA for what it is, a legal cartel. What they do is maximize their profits by suppressing the wages of the people that they employ or the student athletes. So because most people can see through the facade of the NCAA, most people jump right on board and says, hey, this is nothing more than the NCAA trying to retain money and power. Now again, it would not be the first time that I've accused the NCAA of being power hungry, but I think people are really missing the bigger picture of this Rich Paul rule. If you ever want to know why a rule was put in place, the first thing you got to do is see who benefits from this new rule. Now, first of all, you got to understand that this rule pretty much only affects basketball players. So the question then becomes, who in the basketball world benefits the most from the Rich Paul rule? Well, here's a list of the top 10 NBA agents according to hoopshype.com. First thing I want you to recognize about this list is that everybody on this list would meet the requirements of the NCAA's new rules except for one person, Rich Paul. The other thing I want you to look at is how long each of these sports agents have been agents. Many of these guys started as early as the mid 80s, but none of them passed the late 90s or early 2000s. Now, if you don't know anything about the market for NBA talents amongst agents, it is a cutthroat business. People are constantly trying to steal clients from one another, trying to do what they can to get that big name client. And as you can see from the list, many of these people have been in business for a very long time. But right there in the middle as the 5th most powerful agent in the NBA is none other than Rich Paul. And the first thing you notice about Rich Paul is that Rich Paul has only been an agent since 2012. So only about 7 years. All the other ones, with the exception of Austin Brown from CAA, who also started in 2012, has been in the game for well over a decade. So could you imagine, in a cutthroat industry like being an NBA agent, the kind of jealousy, anger, and envy you would have at a guy like Rich Paul, who literally just showed up on the scene about 5 minutes ago, and now all of a sudden he's the 5th most powerful guy in the entire NBA. Not to mention, just last year, he took his client Darius Bradley, got him $1 million internship at New Balance, and he was still picked at number 23 in this year's NBA draft. See, what I think everybody's missing about the Rich Paul rule is that it's not just the NCAA who benefits from the Rich Paul rule. All of these other NBA agents also benefit from the Rich Paul rule. Because the only thing that separates Rich Paul from the other top 10 NBA agents is the fact that they have an official bachelor's degree and he doesn't, although he did get an honorary degree from Cleveland State. But I digress. See, now, I don't have any evidence of this, okay? So I just want to be very, very clear. I don't have any confidential emails, anything leaked. But for me, something smells fishy. If you think about the rule, how in the world is the NCAA actually going to enforce this rule? If you declare for the draft and you end up meeting with a sports agent who doesn't meet their requirement, so what? Now you lose your NCAA eligibility. But you're gonna go to the draft anyway. Or you're gonna make sure you meet with an agent like a Rich Paul who can make sure that he can market you to other markets and still get you paid. So yes, the NCAA is trying to retain more power, but the people who are really benefiting from this rule are other NBA sports agents not named Rich Paul, because just about every other NBA sports agent already has a bachelor's degree. Think about this from the perspective of any other NBA agent in the market. This rule literally does nothing for you. You don't care one single bit about this rule. You already have your bachelor's degree. Of course, you've been certified by the NBAPA, and you have no problem flying to Indianapolis to take some little stupid exam. But if you were jealous, if you were envious about the meteoric rise of Rich Paul, or if you were concerned that LeBron James is consolidating too much power in the NBA, then this rule might fire you up. Because this rule is going to give you a leg up over Rich Paul. This rule is going to allow you to get to prospects before a guy like Rich Paul can get to them. And again, like I say with the NCAA, I'm not going to say it's racist, but it smells a lot like Jim Crow. Seems a lot like a literacy test you make certain folks take to vote, even though they're already American citizens. Think about this. This also prevents a young prospect from being able to have somebody in their family or somebody close to them that they already know, like, and trust represent them if they don't meet the requirements of the rules. So for me, when I saw this, the number one thing I thought about was who benefits. And the people who benefits from this are all the other NBA sports agents. Yes, the NCAA kind of benefits from it, but they really don't. See, I believe that Clutch Sports has become the 5th most powerful NBA sports agency in just 5 years. I think there's a lot of people who are pissed off about it. Hey, but let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. What do you think of this new Rich Paul rule? Do you think that this was just something crafted by the NCAA? Or do you think that maybe there was some colluding going on with other NBA agents for this rule to be written? Hey, go ahead and like this video if you like it. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Turn on post notifications and follow me on Twitter. I'll be over there talking to myself. I'll see you next time. Peace.